I'm being joined on the program by Adedotun Agbojo. He's a farmer, and we'll be taking a look at some of these issues. Thank you so much, Dotun, for joining us this morning.
Thank you.
Well, let's just quickly talk about the agricultural transformation agenda, because that was really the focus of that, of that summit. What's your assessment of the agenda?
Well, the program is a good program, and the intention is very good, but it's just a change of name, like we had in the past, the Operation Feed the Nation and all others before it. But our stake is that we want to see the good implementation of this ATA. We have had a series of meetings with especially in the livestock sector, with the group that are concerned with this, but our concern is we want to see it live. Want to see the good implementation of it. So at the end of the day, the main objective of the whole program will be achieved. It won't be as the others that came before it.
Well, at the summit, most of the ministers, especially the Minister of Agriculture, actually talked about the fact that funding, which everybody knows is a major challenge to every sector, is no different from the agricultural sector, and that this will subsequently be improved. He actually advocated for 10% of the budget, to be earmarked for, agriculture. Is that enough, or can more still be done?
It's gross inadequate. For a sector that is contributing about 40% to the GDP, for a sector that is employing about 2/3 of the total labor force in this country, what is 10% to it? Even 10% of the total budget is not even enough for the livestock sector to manage. The loans are going to be given to the farmers, no doubt about it. But the farmers are not asking for handouts from the government. What we're asking government to do is that with these beautiful policies they have in place, they should put infrastructures in place. The 15 billion naira they have approved is good for the farmers. But what are the other terms in single digits is beautiful? What are the other terms and conditions attached to this, to the assessment of this loan? The people, the association that are involved in this growers association, were they really carried out and carried along in the implementation of these policies? Now, number two, for instance, let's say for example, the yield per hectare of maize in this country is just about two hectares. I mean, two metric tons per hectare. Do you understand? Whereas in other countries, they have about 4 or 5. So if you give this 15 billion, what other things that needs to be put in place?
But you see, if you had listened to the presidential policy dialogue, the president actually made reference to the fact that infrastructural reforms are ongoing. We can see that. We know that the light rail project is actually on ground. And then we also know that train services have actually kicked off from Lagos to Kano. So can't all of this, with the little we've seen on ground, can't we begin to make efforts to see that this initiative actually kicks off, and instead of always kicking and throwing tantrums, as regards how this policy
No, why not? Okay,
grow?
For instance, now we are looking at the input side of the agriculture. How about the output aspect of it? All these products, these agri-produce, when they are produced, how do we store them?
Well, they said they were actually going to be talking about financing of warehousing. No, if you speak
apart from warehousing, for instance, now in the grain sector, for instance, agriculture, our livestock sector, we are looking at a situation where we can have silos at least in all the 6 geopolitical zones of this country. Do you understand? So when the farmers produce at the peak season, so at the low season, the farmers should be able, the end user should be able to have access to it. Do you understand? Okay. If you go to the market, for instance, the markets around there, you see how much of the agri-produce are wasted because there's no preservation, there's no storage. We have been hearing that, okay, they're going, I'm not trying to throw tantrums, I'm trying to let them know that the policies they are doing, they should see it through. So that at the end of the day, the money will not just go down the drains. Then they should work along with the associations that controls these sectors, so that that the real farmers, practicing farmers, get benefit of these things, not political farmers. It's so painful that at the end of the day, you hear that 200 billion naira is approved, 15 billion naira is approved, but the real farmers are not having the effect. The market is not having the effect of it.
Why are they not actually getting the effect? And why can't they access this funds? Is it that they're not going to the right people to access these funds?
Because the policymakers are not seeing it through. I will tell you why. Number one, you are asking a farmer to access a fund, and the association the farmer belongs to that can actually vouch for whoever wants to access the fund is not carried along. Do you understand? You know, along the line that somebody will just come to hijack that program. Secondly, you're asking that these are the conditions. For instance, that a farmer is given a loan at 9%, which is beautiful. We are not asking that farmer that the land in which he operates is going to be excluded from the access base. He must have a property somewhere as a collateral. How many farmers will farm in the year? So these are the things. For instance, now in the Poultry Association of Lagos, to which I happen to be the chairman, I know my members. I now know their capability. So somebody wants to apply for 100 million naira and I know that doesn't have the capability, I will not allow him to have it, to access it. I will tell him that you can only access 25 million naira loan. Do you understand? But if my association is not carried along, if you are not in the picture, how will we not get to the effect? So we see that along the line, somebody will come, either the political class or the civil servant class, they will just hijack the whole thing in the name of going to farming.
So you feel that in putting this agenda together, more input should have been sought from the associations as regards what should obtain for the sector?
Absolutely correct.
Now let's look at subsidies for agriculture. In most advanced countries, there are subsidies for, for agriculture. Yeah. Are you satisfied with the level of subsidy support for agriculture in Nigeria?
Well, we know that government is overwhelmed with so many demands. And at this stage, we are not even asking for subsidy. And that's the truth of the matter. What we're asking for is that let government put the necessary things like infrastructures, like storage facilities. Okay, take for instance now the cold chain in this country. In Lagos alone, we consume over 360,000 metric tons of broiler poultry meat in Lagos State alone. Okay. Do you understand? But we can't store them. That is why the influx of importation from the neighboring countries is so high. And for you to operate a cold chain in this country, in this Lagos State now, you need the source of energy. I want to know the cost of energy in this country. Let government put that in place.
Well, we know that, with the unbundling of PFC, and most of this is actually going to be taken care of, at least in the short to medium term. We're going to see improved electricity supply. No, but that's what the president actually said. That we're going to see an improved, power supply, and of course, improve in infrastructure provision for for rural farmers, especially those who are bringing farm produce from inside the hidden lands to town.
We believed him. We have had this in the past. And we hope this time around you see the light of the day. It's not just going to be a political talk. And that's the truth of the matter.
How much do you think Nigeria will gain from the... Okay, let me not even go there just yet.
Yeah.
You are the chairman of the Association of Poultry Farmers here in Lagos.
Yeah.
And we know that there's going to be probably a ban on the importation of poultry products.
Yes.
Do we have enough locally? Do farmers like you have enough locally to satisfy our domestic demands?
Number one, presently there's a ban on poultry meat into this country. So we have smugglers. And I want to use the opportunity to commend the operation of, or the officers of Federal Operation Unit of Nigerian Customs. They are doing marvelous work in Lagos State. They have seized poultry products in essence of almost ₦500 billion in the past 8 months. And that is commendable. Then going back to your question, yes, we can produce more than enough for our market. That I can tell you. But the problem is that the cost of production to us is very high. Take for instance now, in poultry, our major source of inputs into feed production is corn, yellow corn to be precise. Now, at this time of the year where we have, in the time past, where we have new maize, new harvest now, you're supposed to be buying a ton of maize for less than 50,000 naira per metric ton. We are buying that at 60,000 naira. About 2-3 weeks ago, we bought a ton of maize for about 80,000, between 80 to 90,000 naira per metric ton. So how do we do business?